What?
Lost Boys was the one that I grew up on. That was like, that film made me. I mean, I kind of refer to myself as the Jason Patrick of Night Teeth. I like to think of myself as a.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Poppin the Culture Halloween Special. And me, well, I'm your host, the chosen one, Mr. Matrix, Matt Demers. That's right, I'm still deciding between the red pill and the blue pill. We got such a great show for you today. I'm going to be speaking with some of the stars of Netflix's vampire film, Night Teeth. That's right, stick around for that. But first, let's jump into our Hollywood headlines. All right, this is the part of the show where we like to dissect some of the more interesting developments out there in Hollywood. And of course, today it's going to be all about Halloween-related spooky stuff, really fun things. And well, I got to bring out the big guns for this special episode. So I've got the Watch Mojo lady herself, Rebecca Brayton, is back with us. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, this is really heavy, Doc. No, sorry, I don't know.
Thanks for traveling back to our future for this. And of course, we've got the killer doll herself. That's right, Kirsten Ria. Kirsten, how are you?
I'm good. I would say a Chucky quote, but I think they're a little bit obscene for this sort of thing, so I won't.
Yeah, no, you guys look fantastic. Rebecca, we all know Back to the Future is your favorite movie of all time. How many times have you worn this costume out for Halloween?
Well, I actually built it in time for 2015, specifically for the future.
Yes.
And since then, more times than I care to admit. And not always on Halloween either.
Oh. Well, hey, I was gonna say that because Kirsten does you do all the cosplay, and it's like for people that do that, it's like every day is Halloween, right? So it's like what do you break out for Halloween? Is it extra special, or is it just like another day?
I try to probably go like maybe a little bit more gory usually for Halloween, but I'm taking my little one around with me, so I would usually go kind of more like Silent Hilly, but I have to be Vampirina's mum this year. That's my she's nice. Like, you're being my mummy. I was like, okay, I want to okay.
nice
Yeah.
Speaking of family friendly Halloween stuff, well, there's a movie that people just love this time of year. I've seen it. I don't really get it. I'll get you to chime in. It's called Hocus Pocus. The reason I'm bringing this up is that there is a sequel. Yes, there is a sequel. People have been clamoring for it for a long time. It's coming. They're all back. Sarah Jessica Parker, rather, Bette Midler, and who's the other one? Kathy
and Jimmy.
Yeah. So all the originals are coming back. That's a good sign. And then they've also locked in Sam Richardson. He was on the show Veep. He's in final negotiations. It looks like he'll be joining the ladies. So essentially the plot that we know.
Is he the one that was on Ted Lasso?
Coming back to modern day to, I don't know, wreak all kinds of havoc. Ladies, did you watch Hocus Pocus? Rebecca, are you a fan?
I mean, I'm not a diehard, but I watched it as a child. And I've watched it as an adult, and it's very enjoyable. Definitely not on my rewatch list every year. I tend to go more spooky, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
I think a sequel could be good, especially if all the main witches came back.
All right, Kirsten, did you watch this movie Hocus Pocus? What is it about it? I don't.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
I think, again, mainly for the girls, it was a lot of girls, especially for me, had a crush on Binks, which was the guy that like turns into a cat and then I think back to a guy at the end. Because, for me, it was like him and then Casper, like the real version of Casper, not the animated version.
They definitely had the same vibe.
Yeah, sure. Definitely the same vibe. And everyone had a crush on. So I think that was probably the main thing, especially when we were younger. But yeah, the music, the costume design, they just all look fantastic. The witches are hilarious. They just all look so good. It's just a funny, heartwarming, silly movie. It's really quotable. It has great songs. I don't see what's not to love. I am more of a
Matt
person. Yeah,
okay,
Matt.
All right.
Not to like.
What's your problem, dude?
I will give it another go. I'll give it another watch, I promise, and I'll see if I can find out what it is about this movie. For those that are excited for the reboot, 2022. That's just next year, guys. Next Halloween, we'll get Hocus Pocus 2. All right, let's keep it going with our Halloween topics. I mean, we're all in some attires today, looking spiffy. But what are the most popular costumes this year? Well, according to Google, there's a bunch actually, and I have, in the spirit of Watch Mojo, a top 10. This is based on Google searches for this year's Halloweens. All right, let's get through this, and then at the end, I kind of want you to tell me which ones you think might be missing, or I'm all about the pop culture costumes, so maybe there's one that based on pop culture that should be there. So I mean, we have witch, which is just a classic. Rabbit, which is interesting. Dinosaur. I'm assuming these are more for the kids, or I guess what's that big one where like you can dress as like a big poofy dinosaur?
Oh, like the inflatable costumes.
Yeah. People do. How could they be comfortable in that? I wouldn't go to a party in that.
They're breezy.
That's right. Maybe that's what it is. Spider-Man was on this list. Cruella de Vil, that I get. I watched that movie and I was like, ooh, this is just Halloween costumes, every single frame. A fairy, Harley Quinn. We just had the Suicide Squad, but I think she's on the list every year, right?
Yeah. She's always a popular one, I think, since the original Suicide Squad. She's been super popular, I think.
Yeah. And then all, if you're going more away from kids and the adults, you always want to make the costume kind of sexy, right? You always get the sexy version of anything. So cowboy, clown, and Chucky made the list in the top 10. And of course we know there's a new Chucky TV show. Okay, Rebecca, what are some of the pop culture type costumes that you're excited to see this year?
Oh my god, why did my mind just go completely blank? I mean, I would love to see a Ted Lasso as a member of the Ted Lasso cult. I was looking for costumes you could wear a mask with. So my sister Emily on Ms. Mojo, if you don't know, was like, Monica with the turkey on her head from Friends would be a great costume, because then you don't have to. And I was like, that's a good idea. So I was trying to think of like, what are good costumes that like you could, that your face isn't showing, basically. I know we're not. I mean, Squid Game, if you wanted to be the other people,
yes,
in the red, that would work perfectly. Or the front man.
I think we'll see a lot.
I'm trying to think of the other things that I'm watching, and like Only Murders in the Building. I'm like, I guess you could dress up as Steve Martin, but I'm not sure.
I would love to see a Steve Martin costume, please. If you dress up as Steve Martin,
it's all in the hat.
Send us a picture. No, those are all great suggestions. I think what I was going to say is I think we're going to see a lot of Squid Game. I mean, that was kind of where my mind was at. Kirsten, I mean, you're big into cosplay. What are you seeing? What are kind of some of the trends out there?
Yeah, I mean, Squid Game is obviously like the biggest one because it's just doing so well at the moment. But I think I've also been seeing a lot of people kind of going down like the Korean and Japanese movie like rabbit hole. Like there's a fantastic show very similar to Squid Game called Alice in Borderlands, and that's a really fantastic one. Very, very similar, but it came out a couple of years before, I think. So just things like that, I think people are kind of going more because they have such fantastic ideas when it comes to like horror and really like unique kind of thrillers and scares. So that's definitely sort of the avenue that I think I would love to go down, or possibly even bringing back like really old 90s stuff, because like 90s TV shows like Buffy and like Charmed and things, they were just so good, and they were just so unique, and 90s sort of like costumes just are always a winner for me anyway. So I'd love to see sort of those sort of having a comeback this year, but we'll see. I think it's just going to be Squid Game everywhere, to be honest.
Okay, actually, if we're talking about the 90s, can I just say, if you dress up as the Backstreet Boys in the Everybody Backstreet's Back video, tag me. I would love to see it. This is something I've always wanted to do and we never did it, but because I would love to see it.
Definitely.
Right, well, that would just make you okay. I'm moving on because for the past couple of weeks here on the show, I've been asking my guests to drop their Halloween movie suggestions. Okay. Now it could be any, I think everyone kind of immediately goes horror, but as we talked about with Hocus Pocus, there are many beloved family friendlies. There's animated movies, there's comedies, there's all kinds of stuff, and TV shows. Don't have to limit it to movies as well. So here's what we've had so far. Obviously, the Halloween 1978, the original. I mean, you can't beat it. It's on my must-watch list every single year, and I've already checked it off this year. We've had Scream, of course, 1996, and I actually threw out Scream 2, which is actually one of my favorite opening scenes in a movie theater. Halloween
God,
Town,
that scared the crap out of me for years.
with Jada Pinkett Smith in the
yeah, I couldn't go to the bathroom at the movies for years.
And Kira threw out Halloween Town, and she said all of them are great. I don't know, I've never watched that in my life. Saw was Phoebe's pick, a little torture film in there, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I'm going to throw it over to you. So I mean, there's lots out there. I'm surprised no one has said a particular one. Rebecca, maybe you'll say it. What's your pick?
Well, it's not, I mean, I watch the Screams every year for sure, all of them, but every year I make a point of binging every single Treehouse of Horror episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of taper off when it gets to the 20s. Yeah, they're very good. Are you a seasoned Simpsons watcher yourself, Matt?
You know what? I really do. I enjoyed The Simpsons. And then lately I haven't been, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's just because I always forget that it's on. So I guess that I'm not.
Good sign.
Much, I know. Oh, trust me. I know it'll probably be on till the day I die or after. But no, I like The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. So you're right. Anytime I see that on, even if it's a repeat, when I'm flipping through the guide, I have to watch it. So I'm with you on that. I think those are probably actually the best, most creative ones they do. I'm thinking of, remember they had Willie as the knockoff of A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Is that your favorite?
I think so. Well, they did.
I believe that's in the same. Oh, is it? I think it's the same episode as the Shinning. I'm not 100% on that, but
I'm also remembering the one with the doll. Homer brings home the killer doll, and it's like it just was turned to evil on the back. Remember?
Yeah, I love 3D Homer. It's not called that, but there's so many good ones. There's so many good ones. There's the one where Lisa makes the little city in the tub. And then that one just cracks me up. But my actual favorite one is it's Citizen Kang, where Kang and Kodos take over Bob Dole and Bill Clinton. It's very topical. In no way. It's of its time, but it's just like that one cracks me up every single time, even though the jokes do not work anymore.
Yeah. Have they aired the new one? Because now you got me excited to see what they do this year.
Actually don't know. I barely keep up with it anymore. I think they have. Okay. But that wouldn't make sense because Halloween is on a Sunday this year, so they should just air it on Halloween. But anyway.
Yeah, you think that, but I remember back they sometimes do it after or a long time before. I don't know. Their schedules are always.
I'll look into it.
Yeah,
I'll find it sometime.
Tweet us all out. Kirsten, what's your Halloween movie or TV show recommendation? The final round before we hit this year's festivities.
I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas is always one that I definitely have to watch. It's like a Christmas and a Halloween one for me. But just anything like gory or spooky. Shaun of the Dead is one that I always go to because it's just hilarious. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen that movie. Like, I think it's at the point now where I put it on and I don't even have to be watching it. I just know it word for word. And yeah, just I think all of those really, the Edgar Wright series, I've got into like just sitting and kind of like it gets to a certain time of the year, I'm like, yeah, I'm up for just like some creepy comedy stuff. So yeah, I kind of go down the horror is there a word for the horror comedies, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Or yeah, just like really, really kind of like scary stuff like Insidious and Conjuring and stuff like that, because they're just my all-time favorites.
All right, I have one. By the way, the one that I was expecting people to mention, but no one's mentioned is Ghostbusters.
Oh, of
Ghostbusters.
course.
I watched Ghostbusters 2 last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watch that like every week though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
me
it's,
too.
it's not
It's
even
not
a
a-
Halloween film anymore. It's just
Oh, okay.
an everyday movie.
Every day.
And
an
Ghostbusters
everyday
2 is a New Year's film, just so we know.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
takes
You're one
place
of those.
over the Christmas holidays and it
Yeah.
ends on New Year's Eve. So it is not a Halloween movie.
Okay, you're one of those. My pick here is this, and I always thought it was under the radar, but I always see it on Watch Mojo list. So I'm like, okay, I'm not wrong. It's called Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat in
Oh.
2007. It was an anthology film.
Mm.
And it's all kind Anna Paquin's in one of them,
Mhm.
but there's this little creepy boy with like this sack mask over
Sam
his head.
Burlap.
Sam Burlap, thank you very much. Yeah, no, this is a great movie. If you haven't checked it out, like I said, 2007, Trick or Treat. And everyone keeps waiting for this sequel that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really good.
we're getting a Hocus Pocus sequel, so anything is in the
Dude,
realm of-
what do you got against Hocus Pocus?
I'm just saying. If it can
Did
get
not
if,
put a spell on you. You might say.
No.
No. Definitely did not. All right, let's stick around because us three, well, we're gonna go to the Matrix. We're gonna go beyond the list. All right, like we do each and every episode, we dig deep into the vast archives of Watch Mojo and we pluck out an old top 10 list and we go beyond the list with our own personal takes, opinions. Did Watch Mojo get it right? And who are we kidding? They rarely get it wrong. But today, obviously, with our special Halloween themed episode, it's only fitting we do the top 10 scariest movies of all time. Scariest movies. I love me some horror movies. It's my favorite go-to genre. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's on this list. Before we get into it, Rebecca, are you one of those people that loves horror? Are you like a watch between the fingers, or where do you stand in your horror movie watching?
That's a good question because I would have thought I was one of these people, and I used to be when I was in my teens, when it was like the like teen horror movie craze. Used to watch them with the coat over my head, but I've actually seen most of the movies on this list. I think I actually am I don't want to say connoisseur, but I've definitely seen a lot of horror movies. So yeah, I love them. They're great. I gotta.
Okay, well, Kirsten, horror
Yes.
movie fan?
Oh yes, definitely. That's pretty much all I watch, to be honest. It takes a lot for me to get to that point where I am like, oh, so yeah, if it can get me at that point where I am too scared to watch, then I know it's doing a good job. But I'll enjoy it nonetheless, to be honest.
All right, well, let's see how we do, and I'm, like I said, I'm excited to see what makes this listing. And by the way, we're doing traditional dark horror movies, so things like Jaws, which are still pretty terrifying, are not on the list. All right, number 10 on this list, folks, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original 1974. I actually, they did a remake with I think Jessica Biel was in it. Yeah. I didn't mind that one. I was pretty terrified there, but I think the concept of this creeps me out. So I'm not going to disagree. I remember being pretty terrified of the old Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Rebecca, you've seen this, I'm guessing.
I have actually seen it. I don't enjoy it.
Guy with the chainsaw.
It's just, I mean, okay, look, like from a filmmaking perspective, it's just like, it's kind of, this is a hot take. It's a hot take.
Bring it.
I find it kind of boring. I need more of a story.
What?
Yeah, like it's scary. It is scary, and I think it deserves to be on this list for sure. I'm just like, okay. But I think it's because I've seen too many. Like it was one of those movies that kind of set the cliche, and so it feels cliche, but it was the groundbreaking film. So I definitely respect its place in horror history. I just don't particularly care for it.
Yeah, the concept of though that there's this family and that this exists and that this guy's in the basement and that terrifies
me. It's a bit too realistic.
Moving on. I'm going to do number 9 with Kirsten here because this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's the Blair Witch Project. Kirsten, have you seen it though?
Yes. I actually distinctly remember watching it for the first time with like my cousins. I was watching horror from a very young age, but there were certain movies that like my mom and dad were like, maybe not, like that's probably a bit too scary. But then one week we were like visiting my cousins and they were like, it's on telly, and they were like, I think you'll probably be okay. And so we just all sat down and watched it. And yeah, I remember really enjoying it as a kid. There were certain parts that very much stuck with me, like the bit where she opens up and there's like a tongue and stuff in there. That like was probably the pivotal moment for me where I was like, okay, this is a bit scary. And I don't know if I made it to the end, but I have recently rewatched it again, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it is good, but I think it is one of those films that it's more scary when you watch it the first time. And then when you watch it a couple more times, it is quite a slow burn. So it definitely gets better to the end, but it's not something that I would put on every year.
It was the first, one of the first big found footage films. I don't know, there probably was one beforehand, but this is the one that put that on the map, right? And I think I remember that scared me. And I remember I had a friend, her stepdad was convinced that it was real. Like, they had
there was a big controversy, wasn't it? Because they had like missing posters and a website you could go to.
Well, that was the whole thing.
They made a fake website, and he was convinced. He was trying to convince us that, like, no, this actually happened. These poor kids. Oh my God. All right, number 8. Well, I mean, Kirsten, it's Child's Play. 1988. Chucky. You know, listen, this is a movie that do people find it terrifying, or is it one of those kind of one that's more funny? Like, because I love it. I'll watch it to death, but I'm not really scared of it. I just enjoyed. There's an entertainment value, and he's so funny, and the concept of a doll trying to kill you. So it's on it's on the list of like terrifying, scariest movies. I don't know if I'd put it there, but what do you think? What do you think?
I think when you like, if you watched it when it first came out, and obviously we were a lot younger then, so I think it was a scary concept then, and especially the first film, I think. And then I think onwards they kind of started to realize that it was more of like a joke, and they kind of went down the comedy route. And especially when you go back and watch them, they're not scary. They're not scary. They are just more comedies, really, or horror comedies. But I don't think they were ever intentionally supposed to be that way. I think it was just a creepy concept, and then they just kind of realized that people thought they were funny, so they were like, it's a comedy then, okay, like, you know, and they just kind of leaned into that a bit more. But yeah, it's like you said, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, but they're not really scary, to be honest.
And if you ever have kids and one of their toys goes off in the middle of the night by itself, we can thank Chucky for scaring the living daylights out of us. It's happened. Number 7, Rebecca, Paranormal Activity. We're going back to that found footage genre. This one kind of changed the game. This was really, really creepy stuff. I remember seeing, I don't know how many there are now. What is it, like 6, 7? I don't even know.
I don't know.
But
I don't even know.
No,
there's possibly 4, 5, I think.
There was the marked ones, I think was the last one that I saw, which actually wasn't terrible, but I think they may have done another one. Oof. I got a little confused because they kept trying to tie it back to the original. And but that first one, though, I mean, man, that was great. Yeah. Becca, remember that one?
I have never seen them.
No.
I think I've never seen them. I've seen so much of it through work that it feels like I've seen it, but I don't think I've ever sat down to watch it.
It's one of those movies.
That end thing, spoiler alert, gets me every time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the end thing. No, but
even though I'm like, it's coming, and it scared me.
No, that's what was so great about this, because it's all like hidden. They have these hidden cameras or surveillance cameras, so you know something's going to happen. So they make the audience just sit there and look, and you're looking at all the frames, and then they build that anticipation. Then when it happens, it's really intense. So they did that so well, I found. All right, let's move on, because I think that's great. We're almost at the halfway point, so let's get number 6 here. A Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know if I'm going to put this in the same category as Chucky, where there could be a lot of humor. I think they leaned into that as it went on, but I think the original movie, because I did recently rewatch it, and the stuff with, like, you know, through the bed and the blood flying out, and that scene in the bathtub. I mean, that was pretty scary stuff. Kirsten, Nightmare Elm Street.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that I was too scared to kind of watch growing up, and I only watched it like a few months ago, and it is really scary. I mean, I never even saw the film growing up, and it still scared me. You know, if they started singing like 1, 2, Freddy's coming for, and I was just like, no, and just the concept of the fact that someone could like kill you in your dreams. And yeah, like as a kid, that is terrifying. And yeah, they're still quite creepy. I think it was just really well done, really well shot, and the gore is fantastic, and the costume design and just the look of Freddy Krueger himself. He's a scary looking dude. So yeah, I think like the first couple of films were definitely quite creepy, but I agree that as it kind of went on, he did unfortunately kind of become very similar to how Chucky was, which just kind of became a horror comedy character, which is a shame, because he is a creepy dude.
I saw someone posted a thing online about people wearing crop tops in horror movies, and Johnny Depp was in there because he wears that classic crop top. Rebecca, do you have fond memories of watching those?
So,
Freddy Krueger.
This is the series. I watched the first one. My friends and I watched a bunch of horror series when we were younger, like Jaws, if we're considering Jaws, Halloween. And this is the one that after I watched the first one, I was like, no, I'm done. Can't do this. Because it's too scary. Like the fact that you cannot do anything because you're asleep, it just drives me absolutely up the wall. And I have enough trouble sleeping. I do not need help.
Yeah, and his face is like is grotesque, and he's got claws, a claw glove. Come on, that's scary stuff. Okay, we're at the halfway point, so it's going to get really scary here, folks. Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, okay, it's a classic. What is it? 1968. Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, it's got a sense of dread building throughout. I don't know. I'm not going to disagree too much. It's at the halfway point. Did you guys, either one of you, see this?
Yeah, I made a point of watching it a couple of years ago because it is a classic. I mean, to be fair, a couple of years ago, I definitely knew the premise and exactly where it was going, and pretty much every story beat, so I wasn't particularly scared. I do think it does a really great job. I think it's just a type of horror movie that I don't personally find very scary, but I think there is a group of people who will. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly. Yeah.
Like The Silence of the Lambs, for example. Every time I bring that up, like I'll watch The Silence of the Lambs every time it's on television, which is weird. But my parents will not watch it. They think it's the scariest thing that's ever been made. And I'm like, why? Like, I mean, it's scary if it were real, but it's not. I don't know. Anyway, so I kind of feel like this falls into that category a little bit. But it's again one of those slow burns, and it's just a very quiet movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's what I mean. It's very uneasy. It's a very uneasy feel, like the whole way. Yeah, for sure. Kirsten, I mentioned earlier about if your kids' toys made noise in the middle of the night, it would freak you out. Well, this next entry, number 4, The Omen, has to do with a kid being doing terrible things, an evil child, which
it's never something you want for your child to be the devil's spawn. I actually watched the original and the remake, and I think they're both pretty good. They are really creepy, and it is terrifying. And I think especially I actually sat down and watched this with my partner while my daughter was with her grandparents, and you do end up having that conversation of like, if our child was the devil's spawn, like, what do you do? Like, could you like do what they are basically saying like you're gonna have to do in the film? And I was just like, I think I would just come to love her, I guess. Like, I don't think I could do it. I'd be like, okay, cool, she's a little demon, that's fine. It is.
This is 2 movies in a row with devil spawns, eh?
Yeah, it's true. That is very true.
Yeah, especially the scene with the I think she's like a babysitter or a maid or something, and she like leaps off, she's like, this is for you. Yeah, that was a bit, I was like, no. And there's loads of weird things that happened on set and stuff, and I was just like, just everything about this film, it just makes me really uneasy. So yeah, I agree, it's a creepy one.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point when you hear the stories of things that happen on set during these movies. And there's one that I can almost guarantee is on the list, so I don't want to ruin it. But that always plays with me too. I'm like, oh man. All right, Rebecca, number 3 is The Ring. Wow. I mean, I remember this. Okay, go.
Sorry. I was gonna say Ringu. If you're gonna do anything, it's got to be the original.
Yeah.
But
never saw it.
I mean, as someone who grew up with VHS tapes, I feel like if you didn't grow up with VHS tapes, it's like, what is this even? But
Mm.
yeah, it's not that scary. It's good. But I think I will go out on a limb and say that Watch Mojo got this one wrong, because I think putting
Really?
the Ring over Ringu is a bit of a hot take.
Okay, well, I never saw Ringu. I saw The Ring, and I remember the craze around it. What was the other one that was around the same? The Grudge.
The Grudge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of both based on those Japanese horrors. But yeah, The Ring was pretty terrifying. I'm not going to disagree. I think what was her name with the long black hair?
Samara.
Samara.
I think it's just the visuals. Honestly, like visually, they're scary. Even The Grudge scared me.
Oh,
yeah. Just I think there was just a phase of just the long hair and the creepy movements. It's terrifying, and it does get overdone, but at the time it was so new, and it was just I don't want to see that walking down my stairs or coming out of my TV, to be honest. No.
It's the stairs. That's what I'm picturing, and that's the scary part.
Yeah.
And you know what else happens though with a lot of these movies? You get movies where they make fun of them, right? They do the parodies, and that lessens the effect. Like the Scary Movie franchise. I remember they made fun of The Ring and the Scream and all that, and it kind of lessened.
Your TV is leaking.
It did kind of help with Scream too, though.
Something happens in that bathroom.
Yeah,
that was unexpected. Okay.
Moving on.
All right, number 2. Oh, this is interesting.
You know.
And if you don't know, don't know.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Number 2, this is an interesting. I wouldn't have pictured this on here. It's Alien from 1979. Really great movie. One of my favorites, actually. But I don't know, guys. This is more. I would put this maybe more sci-fi, not traditional horror. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm not going to disagree about how great it is. I do remember being pretty terrified about that alien creature, and the dread was pretty high. It's number 2, though. I don't know.
It's more of like a psychological horror, I think, because it really does play on the tension and not knowing who to trust, or who's possibly like infected with alien eggs. And it's just, specifically the first one, I think it does a really good job of building up the tension. I thoroughly enjoyed them as a kid. I don't know if I found the films themselves scary. I think it was the fact it was just the xenomorphs and the amount of nightmares I've had about something bursting out of my chest. But that's about it. I feel like that's a pretty normal thing to be scared of, is an alien inside you trying to burst out of your rib cage. So
fair point. No.
I'm a little surprised though, based on the criteria that this is on the list, because
as number 2,
it seems like kind of not a straightforward horror movie. Anyway, like I kind of think that The Thing maybe would have been a better, kind of similar but
scarier,
more straightforward as a horror movie.
When Kirsten was talking about never knowing who's infected, I was thinking of The Thing. Okay, I think we all know what number 1 is. At least I do. Here's the honorable mentions that made this list. The Descent, 2005. Oh yeah, is that when they go in the cave?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
cave diving.
I remember that being more terrifying than I thought it was going to be going in. So I will not disagree. The Grudge, we talked about The Grudge. Halloween, the original 1978. They have it in the honorable mentions. Yeah, I mean, really well done. The fact
that it's a kid.
Yeah.
It's just scary.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, and by the way, I don't mind the new ones that are coming out. Like the quasi.
I really enjoyed those.
No, not bad.
More Jamie Lee Curtis, the better, to be honest.
Yeah, I wish she had more to do in the second one. No spoilers, but hopefully in the third one.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, me neither.
Oh, sorry. She just eats yogurt the whole time.
Oh, that's okay. I'd watch that.
Oh my God.
She just
that
eats
is an old joke.
Activia yogurt. Conjuring is also in here, and The Strangers. Oh, is that the one where it's kind of like a home?
People are ride or die for that movie. I have not seen it, but people think it's the scariest damn movie, and I believe them because it's just so realistic, and there's no motive.
Yeah. Liv Tyler?
Yeah.
That one? Okay.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think, like you said, that's the scary aspect, is the fact that there's no motive, and it just is something that could happen. That's the scary thing. Is like, no, no.
There was a movie that really creeped me out. It was called it was with one of the not Owen Wilson, his brother.
Is
Luke?
it the motel? No,
yeah,
no vacancy?
Is it called Vacancy? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that's a very similar one as well, where you're just sort of, it's scary because you think, wow, that there's probably some crazy people out there that would do that, and it's just, but I think in a way they're good, because the more movies like this that we can watch, the more mentally and physically we are prepared for things like this. Because you go to a situation like that and you're like, no, I'm good. Like, I've seen enough horror movies to know where this is probably going, so I'm good.
So true. It is so very
for the record,
true.
I do not think I am prepared to be in any scenario that could be in a horror movie, for the record.
Wow. No, I'm like Kirsten. I'm always thinking like, okay, yeah, no, if this happens, I got to do this now. Or I watch so much Dateline NBC, which is all about.
Oh
like,
my God, I watch so much Dateline. Oh.
Yeah, the real life stuff. So now I'm like, I'm always thinking like, wait, if I hear like a loud noise, I always check my phone to see what time it was. I'm like, oh, that's important. Okay, if something happens, I could be the guy that could help solve this. Or Okay, let's move on. The scariest movie of all time has got to be The Exorcist, guys. 1973. The demon Pazuzu takes hold of young Regan, makes her head turn around. She does some unspeakable things with the crucifix, which we will not talk about. But yeah, it's really creepy.
That is the worst part, though.
I never eat pea soup because of this movie. Right? That's what they use for her the vomit. And this is the one I was talking about behind the scenes. All kinds of terrifying things happen. And Ellen Burstyn, I mean, she almost got crippled based on a stunt that was done.
she has like, she's still injured from that movie. Yeah,
it's insane. But yeah, talk about creepy stuff and scary stuff. And the voice that comes out of Regan, that's just creepy. Yeah. I mean, and it still holds up. What was the year? I said 1973. Come on, Rebecca.
Yeah,
Exorcist.
Well, again, it's because it's a kid.
Yeah,
like when you involve children, and that's what I was going to say, even about Child's Play. Anytime a kid's involved, it's just that much creepier. And this is the kid, like, doing it, but it's scary because it's involuntary. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's not that she is the devil; she's just possessed. She can't control it. It's really, and it's just pure evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it really is.
And it's creepy as hell.
Yeah. I just hate the way she looks. Just possession movies for me are just that one that just, it makes my whole body kind of feel weird. And I'm just like, no, like, no, I don't like it. It's not, I don't know if it's like a, possession and everything like that, if that's a real thing that happens, but I would rather not invite it into my space. And I just no.
Yeah, and they did some really great practical effects there, and with the practical makeup, and that makes a big difference, I find, in horror movies. Yes, CGI is great and wonderful in like big superhero blockbusters, but when it comes to horror, I think the more practical you can make it, the more realistic and the more effect it will have. And this movie, I think, nailed it with just its visual insanity. So there you go, folks. Those are 10 from MoreMojo, the top 10 scariest movies of all time. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did they leave any out? I know there's a lot of movies that don't fall into this particular list. A lot of foreign films are really, really creepy out there. I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments. And by the way, if we're going to do contemporary movies, like some newer ones, because I think this list came out a little ways about, I would have thrown on Hereditary.
Oh, yes.
We would have to. We love that movie at MoreMojo.
It's so good. It's so good. And Insidious for me. That's
you mentioned that earlier. Jog my memory. Is that with
Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hawke, yes.
Writing the book. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's the one film since The Exorcist, from my memory, that scared me so much. I had to have my teenage brother, sleep in my room with me because it scared me. We just looked at each other and we were like, want to sleep in my room? Yes, I do. I was like, good. Just terrifying. I've watched it a couple of times. It's not one of those ones that if it's on, I might watch it, but it's not one that I would choose to sit there and voluntarily watch, because everything about that film, the music, the monster, what happens within those movies, it's horrible. It's a horrible movie and I hate it.
No, you are so right. And you're bringing back all these memories. And to Rebecca's point, the kids.
Yes, exactly.
It's kids that are doing these terrible
things. Kids and old people, put them in a horror movie and you just know it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah, old people can scare me too. Okay, drop your comments and let us know what you guys think. But hey, listen, I'll tell you what, Kirsten, Rebecca, I had so much fun, and I thank you so much for joining me here on our special Halloween episode. You guys look fantastic. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
All right, everybody, it's time for our Mojo Chats of the week. That's right, Chats with an S, because I had a chance to talk with some of the stars of Netflix's Night Teeth. Take a look. All right, what do you get when you cross the likes of Uber with vampires and a cameo by Megan Fox? Why you get Netflix's frighteningly fun film Night Teeth, and boy, did I have a great time biting down into this one. I've got Debbie, I've got Lucy to tell me all about it. Debbie, let's start with you. This is a really great take on those kind of vampire films, but it's a little different. Set the stage, let people know what they can expect out of this one.
Well, my grandma described it as intense, and I think she's right. It's a really intense movie. It is sort of punk. We were just talking about Lost Boys and how much we love sort of that version of things. And, you know, at the core of it, it's about relationships. It's about the push and pull of like hierarchical power dynamics, but it's also about like finding and maintaining humanity and what needs to happen to do that and at what cost. And so it's, you know, the sound design is incredible and the editing is so beautiful. Our cinematographer, our production design are all really, really gifted. And so visually there is not a frame in the movie that's not just compelling to look at. And then with the post-production and the editing and all of our incredible stunt performers and, you know, the work that we were able to do and the other actors, every performance is just viscerally sort of arresting, and it's quite a fun ride.
Yeah, no, it really is a fun ride. And I love that you touched on kind of the stylization of it, because it's got this really kind of neon soaked feel to it, and everything's really well done. And like I said, it's just a fun ride. Lucy, I'm gonna switch to you, because Debbie talked a little bit about those kind of vampire films that have come before this. Do you have any favorites? Are you a fan of that genre in particular before getting into this movie?
Yeah, my favorite is What We Do in the Shadows. The humor of it and the hilarity of it. And I really enjoyed that our film Night Teeth has that humor. Also, we make fun of the situation that we're in, you know, drinking people's blood. And I felt like with Debbie, we really kind of bonded over that, finding how to make that normal, like thinking of people just like as a drink kind of thing.
Yeah, you're two girls, you're out on the town and you're thirsty for, well, something else other than the usual. Absolutely. We talk about the cast is really fun. You guys have a lot of fun here. What was that like, Debbie, working with this great cast? I mentioned Megan Fox makes a cameo, which is pretty fun to see. I know she's got a lot of fans out there. What was it like working with these folks?
Yeah, I mean, everyone from Alfie Allen and Raul Castillo and just everyone who came in, sort of the Sydney Sweeneys, and just people were really lovely and people brought their A game. I think we just, you know, the consistency is that we're tracking with the two of us as well as George's character, Benny, and as we go into sort of different locations. So in these locations, they're not only so informed by the sort of boss of that territory and that character, but so much production design. So you have this sort of surfer, methy. Alexander Ludwig plays Rocco in Venice, and he is so different than sort of Geo in Hollywood. And so we have, you know, a whole different cast of characters and a fun menagerie of just different personalities. And yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate because most of my scenes got to be with Lucy, and she's just incredible, both as a performer, but also as a collaborator. So I feel that we
feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, we really got to do it together, and that was a gift. And that sort of was such a fun learning experience, and at times that could have been really emotionally draining. It was nice to have that support.
Amazing. Lucy, last word to you. Same thing. What was your experience like?
My experience of the whole film, wow,
Yeah.
It was huge. The whole, like, that time as well, it was like we were filming right before everything shut down, and I look back on it, and filming in New Orleans, we filmed these amazing LA locations there, and then we came and shot the things in LA here after 6 months of being shut down because of the pandemic. And so we had these experiences of going out together and experiencing Mardi Gras and filming all night and being in these incredible places together as a team, making something that's so fun and so vibrant. And I feel like being in such a vibrant city while we were filming really kind of brought our energy into a place of like these nighttime vampire creatures. And then filming in LA after 6 months down, we just were so happy to be together on set again. And like Debbie was saying, we have such a great bond as a cast. And I was so lucky that most of my scenes are with Debby, and getting to just find these characters together. And we really went into their history and who they are, and Zoe turning Blair into a vampire in the 70s, and what our past together would have been like, and what it would mean for Blair to choose to be in a position where she's choosing between a human and her vampire life, and the cost of that, and what that means for Zoe and everything that she's worked her 200 years to have. It's really cool that the vampire world can elevate the stakes in that way.
Absolutely. Hey, pun intended. No, it's a really great time, and we encourage everyone to check out Night Teeth just in time for spooky season on Netflix. It's bloody, it's creepy, it's also kind of funny. Twilight, it's not. It's Night Teeth on Netflix, and it's a whole heck of a lot of fun. I got George, I got Raul to help me break it all down and tell us what we can expect. George, let's start with you. Explain this movie, because it's a little different than what people might expect from a vampire film. How would you describe it?
Sure. I mean, most vampire films are horror based or scary based. This one has like a thriller genre injected right into the bloodstream of the film. It's very much, an exciting ride of a film. It follows a college student moonlighting as a chauffeur that he takes from his older brother, Jay. And in doing so, I feel like what makes it different is that like, it's just the lighting, the music, the atmosphere that we create onto this film hasn't really been shown vampires in that light before, or at least we haven't seen vampires shown like this glamorous, this exciting, this sexy in a long time, in a way.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's fun. I love that you mentioned the stylization. That really stood out for me as well. Raul, we here on MoreMojo, we love our horror, we love our vampire genre films. Do you have any favorites before getting into this? Was there a vampire type film that you really?
Lost Boys was the one that I grew up on. That was like, that film made me. I mean, I kind of refer to myself as the Jason Patrick of Night Teeth. I like to think of myself as a, but man. I grew up on horror films. Those are like, that was my bread and butter as a kid. Even before I got into theater and acting and all that stuff, I wanted to be like a horror movie makeup artist. So to get to play in the vampire world was like super exciting. And then also, at the end of the day, it's like there's like a coming of age element to the story, and a family element to the story, which I think is really beautiful. So it is this genre thing, it is a vampire thing, but like there's this beautiful family story in there, which I connected to kind of like as a reader, as someone reading the script, I connected with that from the get-go. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot mixed in to this sauce, which is awesome. George, I wonder for you, what is there any kind of vampire tinge, and it could be a show too that you like?
Not including Night Teeth.
Yeah, I guess you could say your own. You can say your own.
Yeah, Night Teeth. Yeah.
But was the experience making the film a fun one, George?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very lively set. You know, Adam Randall, the director of Night Teeth, is, you know, a phenomenal director coming from the likes of movies like I Boy before that, and yeah, you could just see his prowess all over the film. You know, him
Yeah.
and the rest of the cast were just great to work with. You know, there were even scenes where like uh, he left it very open for improvisation. Not so much of mine made it onto the film, but you know, there are different scenes like when we go down to Venice that things kind of like heat up, and yeah, he just had us working, had us cooking the whole time.
Yeah, no, and I can't wait for everyone else to experience it. And I appreciate your time today. Make sure you check it out. It's on Netflix just in time for spooky season. Well, that's going to do it for another show, everybody. I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank Rebecca and Kirsten for joining in on all the Halloween fun. And thanks to everyone over there on Netflix's Night Teeth. Make sure you check it out. And I hope you all have a wonderful Halloween. Now, for me, I got to decide between the red and the blue. Which should I take? Let me know in the comments.